Welcome to Tokyosaurus. So what's up in Japan? So I'm sure many of you are craving for the new My Hero Academia chapter that is missing from our lives this week due to the hiatus announced from last week. But worry not, because I'm sure as many of you still don't know, there's actually more My Hero Academia around the block that most of you probably have never heard of, but turns out is actually very worth reading. And that is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. And for your information, apparently Vigilantes is canon, confirmed by the staff working on Vigilantes, so just so we can get that out of the way before we start. But before we go into just how Eraserhead got one-shotted and almost got killed, let's give you guys a quick rundown of just what Vigilantes is about. So, My Hero Academia Vigilantes is an ongoing manga series. You can actually read it on the official Wiz website in English, fully translated for free. The story takes place a few years before the beginning of My Hero Academia, and so you can almost think of it as a prequel story. It's about a 19-year-old guy named Koichi who has been a longtime fan of big heroes like All Might, but was never able to make it as an official hero. So instead, he lives his life as a convenience store clerk until one day, somehow he gets involved with a vigilante. Vigilante Knuckle Duster shows him what being a vigilante is all about, and Koichi decides to become one himself. Unlike heroes, vigilantes gotta fight in the shadows while also having to take care of not running into the authorities, so their life is pretty rough. The story is a little darker than My Hero Academia, but it's definitely a fun read, especially seeing some characters from the main story in their prequel forms, as well as some events in this prequel having ties to the main series. But onto Eraserhead. So in the latest chapter of Vigilantes, chapter 39, it starts off with Koichi practicing his quirk, which lets him slide over plane surfaces as long as he's touching the ground in 3 places. The sliding is produced from a repelling effect that he's also learned to use to produce a beam of air from his palms. So as Koichi is going through the city, he runs into a villain that is more or less an artificial human or a Nomu, and this one was a pure bruiser with many arms. Koichi tries to take him head on, but quickly realizes he's probably not a good matchup for him and decides to run. Eraserhead just happened to be on duty in town in the same area, and they bump into each other. Eraserhead, being the official hero here, obviously takes matters into his own hands and tells Koichi to get to safety. Eraserhead quickly wraps up all of the Nomu's hands with his binding cloth, but turns out the artificial human had another 2 arms hidden, and while Eraserhead gets distracted for just a split second from the crowd, he gets slammed straight into the wall. At this point, Eraserhead realizes that he's in pretty deep trouble, and he says to himself, "End of the line for me, that's fine. Surviving this will be optimal, but my body's not moving." Which means, at this point, he realizes there isn't much he can do before the villain crushes his face with his giant arms. Which also means Eraserhead has been defeated by a no-name Nomu many years before the events of My Hero Academia. Sure, it was just a small mistake and he's probably grown a lot from then, but it was a mistake that would have costed him his life if not for the brave actions of Koichi, who jumped in the very last frame, ready to shoot his beam of air that he was practicing earlier. Eraserhead is left dumbfounded, and seeing as how there's so much tension between heroes and vigilantes, you can only imagine how complicated this would make Eraserhead feel afterwards. But that is where the chapter ends off. And as you probably already know, Eraserhead obviously survives the ordeal, and he probably had to cooperate with Koichi to defeat the villain together. But either way, it's cool to see that no matter how OP your power is, there's always a way for you to be defeated in My Hero. So if you still haven't picked up Vigilantes, this week is probably going to be a great time for you to get started and caught up, since there is no My Hero chapter this week. Or if you're an anime-only kind of person, you just found yourself a goldmine of chapters that you can read while not spoiling anything for yourself from the main series. And even though it's not written by Horikoshi, many people have already read it. Most of them actually enjoyed Vigilantes quite a bit, and so there you have it. Anyways, I'm curious as to how many of you guys actually tried out Vigilantes before this video. And do you actually like the story for those of you who have read it? As usual, there's a poll up there, and also let me know down in the comments below. Smash thumbs up if you liked the video, hit the bell if you're low-key cheesed about your boy Eraserhead getting wrecked by a nobody. And I'll see you guys in the next one.